Hello, my name is Edna Northrup, and this is my story of skiing at Holiday Valley.
So Edna, tell us, how did you get interested in skiing?
I was thrilled to be at a movie it happened in Sun Valley. It was a local theater, and it would cost a nickel to go to see it. So, and if you had another nickel, you could buy a frozen power bar. And so there were Saturdays you read to the movies. And that was the first time I ever saw skiing, and also it was called It Happened in Sun Valley, and it showed skiing, and Sonia Henney, who had the Olympic skier or skater, she was there in the movie. But I was just thrilled to see the skiing, and I thought, in my mind said, I'm going to do that sometime. So that's how I fell in love with skiing, because of that movie.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so when was your first experience skiing? How did you actually get started?
Well, I graduated from high school, and I wanted to go to college to become a forest ranger. And they would not let women go to be a forester. So I ended up, because I didn't want to go to be a teacher and I didn't want to be a nurse, so I just didn't do anything right after the high school but I was studying skiing. And Flint and Kent was a department store in downtown Buffalo, and it had a ski shop. And every time I could get a chance, I'd go up there and sit, and he had I don't remember his name, but he was on an Olympic team and came over to the United States, and he was running a ski shop. And he was wonderful because he had all the books and papers, and he let me read them and talk to me about skiing, and I didn't have any equipment. And my mother saved all her money to buy me a pair of boots and skis and poles. I think it cost $25, which was a lot for her. Anyway, and he told me that he said I could go to Chestnut Ridge. And so the only way I knew I could go is the bus. And the guy didn't like me having skis in his bus, but they let me on, and they left me off near Orchard Park, and I had to walk the rest of the way. We're carrying my skis, and I didn't know how to even put them on hardly, except the guy at Flint and Kent told me how to do it. And he also told me, do not go to, he said, when you go out there, don't go to Murray Hill. Maybe I shouldn't say this, because they're snobby there. They won't let you be nice to you. He says, go to Ellicottville. So that's how I got to go to Ellicottville by the train. I did get the ski at Chestnut Ridge, and I would watch the people trying to stop after they got off the toboggan run or everything, and I was really delighted when I could go and just fall down when I stopped. And anyway, that's how I started the skiing.
So tell us about your first trip to Ellicottville.
My first trip to Ellicottville was I could get on the train at the foot of Main Street in Buffalo, and I could get off at Ellicottville. And I don't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't very much. And so the first time I got on the train, I ran into Lillian Russell, who lived in Ellicottville and was a skier, and she was always used the train to go back and forth for the week. So she took me under her arm a little bit, and when I got off the train, just picked up my pack and walked to the hotel. And Mrs. Weller, she was a wonderful woman. And she took me under her wing too, and she knew I didn't have very much money, so I would come on Saturday morning, and she let me stay at the hotel till Sunday for the train going back. And but that's how I came to Ellicottville. And everybody that I met that was not a lot of people, but 10 or 12 people that were skiing on the Greer. So I went up there with my skis, and I managed to get up to the top of the hill with the toe, and I started down, and I thought, wow, how am I going to stop, you know? Anyway, I went. I was strong, and I got going faster and faster, and the hill, Greer Hill at that time, you had to climb up quite a steep little place before you get to the rope tow. And I went flying by that, and I kept going, and I went down a hill and across a bridge and out into the meadow. And wow, I still was upright. And then this form came down looking beautiful, and she came right down and she said, you know, I don't know you, but you come back up and I'll teach you how to turn, because if you don't kill yourself, you'll kill one of us. So that's how Lillian Russell took me up and taught me how to turn.
And that's how you met Lillian?
That's how I went. And her mother ran a rooming place, so I could come and stay with her, which was nice. So that's how my first visit was. And the people around, who I knew nobody, were always very, very nice. And that they would get together having songs on Saturday night, and they'd make sure where I was staying with Lillian that they could come and sing and have it. It was wonderful for me.
So was that the Ellicottville Ski Club?
That was
you met?
Yeah, most of them stayed at the hotel.
Do you know where they came from? Were they all local?
Oh yes, they were all from Buffalo area. All of them.
Okay, cool. And then you met somebody here.
Yes, I did. I met Bill at Lillian's because they had gone to school together, and he just had come back from the war. He was gone 3 years, and I knew of him because Lillian had told me about him and how he was a dentist, and he was in Italy and every place. and I met him at Lillian's house. And I fell in love immediately when I met him. And I thought, boy, I can't get this. This is not going to work for me, but it did, because he took me the same time, and we just fell in love instantly. And so that was how I started my life in Ellicottville.
So tell us, can you kind of rewind the clock a little bit, and what do you know about how skiing started in Ellicottville and Bill's role in that?
Bill started the skiing in Ellicottville. He had a friend, and I don't know his name, and it's in my book, but we never could find his name. But there's a picture of Bill with him, and he was the first guy that started to ski in Ellicottville.
And where did they ski? Was that Fish Hill that they started on?
Well, that was the one that had a toe on it, and that's where he skied. But he then skied on Greer. That started by a number of the members of the ski club wanted to get on something that was harder. Mm-hmm. And so that he was the first one to do all the stuff, get the land, and for Greer Hill. And when he was a dentist, and then when he came back, he went into business with his father, who was a dentist. And on the weekends, the people with the cars would come down and park on Main Street right by the hotel, and then they'd honk the horn and have Bill would be up in his office, and they'd say, come on down, and he'd take his lunch there and go up and ski with them. So we skied all the time.
So can you tell us a little bit about Fish Hill, back to Fish Hill again, the rope tow that they had there, how did it work?
They had a car up at the top and a rope down at the bottom going around some kind of a wheel, and they'd get that going every Saturday.
So the car powered the rope tow.
Right, powered.
That's cool.
Right, and it was the only rope tow that was in the vicinity, because Greer had a rope tow, and whenever we'd have a breakdown in the rope or something, and Bill and I would be up there. What do they call fixing a rope?
Splice.
Splicing it. So Bill and I would splice the rope. In the nighttime, we have it sort of ready for the morning. And the Fish Hill had had a special place that snow stayed in, and they had the New York State Ski Championships on that drift, because it was just a rope tow, and the people came and watched the races until that left. The people gravitated to Greer, and then the people that had the farm weren't interested in keeping the thing going.
So they moved to Greer.
And we moved to Greer.
And that's where you started skiing.
Yeah,
And they had a rope tow at Greer also.
yeah, yes, they did.
And I hear it was quite steep.
Yes, it was very steep.
Yes.
And it was really one of the first really ski hills that existed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then, how did Holiday Valley come out of Greer Hill?
Dr. Leons, who owned the home at the bottom of the hill, he and his wife were both physicians, and they didn't like the fact that cars were parking up and down the streets. He wanted to sell, and it was during the war that he was starting to bid to have somebody buy it. And Ellicottville Ski Club had the opportunity to buy it, but the war was still on, and lots of the members were not present. So unfortunately, it got into other people's hands. But when the war ended, and the ski club got together, they wanted it to have the Greer, and so they wouldn't sell to the ski club.
Oh.
So a group of us, it was about four or six, climbed up the rest of Greer and looked over into this valley, because they were going to move the ski rope tows. And that's just, you can remember standing up there on a ridge and looking over, and they were pointing where they could do this, and that's how it started. And Bill and Dick Congdon, who was a lawyer, they got together with the members of the ski club and decided to buy it. And that was a dirt road that came into a cow pasture, and then that's where we found the places to build a rope tow.
So that would have been 1950.
Well, no, we opened up. Yes, that's when we opened.
Finding it.
Yes, but it took 3 or 4 years before it developed,
Ready.
and we had to raise money. So the ladies of the Ellicottville Ski Club put up a coffee table near the area where we're going to build the skier, and we'd have to sell the
Shares.
we said we had to sell them a share. And the share was $100, which was quite a lot of money at that time.
Yeah.
But if you buy the share of stock, I had an old Jeep, Bill and I, and we'd give them a Jeep ride up the road and around toward the top of where the top of was going to be, and show them what they were buying and what was going to happen. And so that's how we raised the first part of the money to start Holiday Valley.
So what were the original slopes and lifts, and what was it when it first started?
Yodeler was the first one, and then and Champaign those were the ones they concentrated on. And and it took a time, and I know that Bill and I hand-seeded yodeler with one of those ones that you have the seed, and we'd take the Jeep and plow off the things that were not going to be useful. And it took a little work, and it took a lot of people to help get it going. So.
And the first lift was?
The first lift was on yodeler. Yes, and then it was a tow, rope tow.
T-bar. Wasn't it a T-bar?
Pardon?
It was a T-bar, right, on yodeler?
Yes, but first it was a rope tow, but not for very long.
Okay.
Because then they got the rope, then they got a T-bar, because that was, there weren't many places around you could buy a T-bar. But anyway, T-bar was, and that would get you up yodeler and champagne. Then we had next to yodeler is Edelweiss, and it had a rope tow for a while. We had a rope tow, and then that finally got to the point where it got serviced by the T-bar, and that's what we had. 3 slopes.
Yeah, and there were a lot of trees on the slopes.
Oh yes, there was a lot of trees. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of them loved it because they could go around them, but it got pretty soon too crowded, and people were hitting the trees, so they immediately started cutting them out.
Yeah.
Some people were very unhappy because they liked to go through the trees, but they soon found ways to get through the trees.
Yeah. So, who started coming to Holiday Valley once it was built?
There were other clubs out of Buffalo that had places like the train would stop in Colden and places like that, and there were places that clubs that started having skiing and forming club, so they didn't have to go as far as Ellicottville. And so there were a number of ski areas developed after Ellicottville. And at the same time that Ellicottville had a tow, Allegheny Park put in a tow. And they had a lot of people because it was very inexpensive. It was more expensive to ski at Ellicottville. But the Allegheny State Park had a jump, and they became famous for the jump, and they had the New York State Championships jumping at the time of when we were on Greer, and people came by train to Salamanca, and there was 200 or 300 people that would come or more to watch the jumping, which was wonderful. And but they soon the state decided not to keep it because they were not getting the people to ski, so that sort of stopped that. And But the jumping stopped anyway at that time, and went to some bigger states.
So tell us about your family and how you brought your family up skiing. Your kids.
Every weekend was ski, nothing else, because both Bill and I ski, and I would I'd get them ready the night before, and I'd have them set their ski boots and get their ticket and buy them, and we'd have their lunch packed, and by 8 o'clock we were on the slopes. And every one of them wanted to do it all the time until Chris. She said, "Do we have to do this every weekend?" And we said, "No, you can stay home or go skiing. That's their choices." Oh, she was skiing. And they had by that time, the ski club had put up a nice place to go and have their lunch and so forth. And she got so many friends, and it was fun for her to go. So the ski club was a family place, and it was wonderful. So that's how it grew, and then they added more slopes, and it was a great time for skiing.
Cool. And now, what do you think about it now?
It's wonderful. It's a great place, and it's always been a place where they wanted to come because there were great people that were running the area, and they were putting everything to people who felt welcome, and they wanted to come because the people were so nice to them, and it was really a place that was the only place to go. From Cleveland or Canada, we had a lot of people, but it's always been a very welcoming place and well run, and it's my story.
And now tell us about the book, you and Lily.
Well, I was on a hike with my family in someplace. Anyway, we got to talking about the valley and how special it is a place, and they said, "Mom, you're the only one we know that knows the beginning of the thing." They said, "You ought to write a book." So that's how it started, and Lillian, because her husband was involved in the beginning of a thing, and the two of us got together and made a book. And that's how we decided to do it.
How did you remember all the stories? There's so much in the book.
Well, because it was my life. It was the children's life, and Bill was always ahead of what was going on, and it was just our life. And Bill and I would go to the west go to see what they do out west after the children got bigger. And every one of them skied, and that's what happened.
Cool.
And
So What do you think about the future? What can you give us? What kind of advice can you give us?
I think right now that the ski area is one of the best ones in the United States. And I've been to a lot of them. And but the feeling that you get when you come to stay is welcoming. And it's people who will ski, want to be skiing in the western hard, steep ones, but many, many people come with here for their families because they can all ski and they can do the snowboards. And it just is grown. But what I hear when I'm talking to people, how much they appreciate the way that the area is run.
And so when you went out west, did you go to Sun Valley?
Yes, I did.
And was it everything you expected?
It certainly was. Yeah. Yeah, I went to Sun Valley, and I went before I got married with 2 or 3 people that wanted to go to Sun Valley, and it had that was during the war, and we had to climb up to anything we skied, and we just climbed and had a run down one of the runs, and then we'd have to climb back up. And I didn't see Sonia, honey, but I saw the skiing, and then we came back home. And since that, I have been once or twice. And I'm proud that I had a lot of, I mean, maybe the last Indian standing, I don't know. But anyway, I've always been very proud of Holiday Valley. It's an incredible place. And it's been a great part of my life and my family's life. And doing the book, I just felt that it was something that was very nice to have. And so it was quite a task getting the pictures and doing the things and getting in it. And I figure that Lillian and I and Lori did a nice job.
For sure.
And so
Awesome.
Perfect.
Very good. Thank you.